With Alberta on the Plate, and we're here as a guest host for Rumble Alberta, and we're exploring Grande Prairie and Ole Smokes Coffee. So come on in and check them out.
I from Canada, born in Canada. When I was a kid, my parents drove me down to the U.S. Lived in Oklahoma, Washington State, moved to Seattle, got in the coffee culture down there. And then after a while, in 2008, I moved back to Canada when they had the big economic crash in the States. And Mr. Obama put me out of business with some of his policies. So I came back to Canada, worked for a competitor for a while, selling their coffee. And then one day I was at a hemp show, and they said, "Is this coffee hemp infused?" And I said, "No, but it could be." So we went down and we figured out how to infuse it with hemp. So we actually started smoke roasting. We came with that process. And so we came with the hemp infused coffee, and then Ole Smokes just kind of exploded from there.
So when you talk about smoking coffee, can you tell me what you're doing? Explain the process for it.
Well, you think about, before we had gas and electric roasters, how would you roast your coffee? Over a fire with wood, right? So we're just kind of bringing that old school process back into this process. So you get that smoky flavor or the smokiness from infusing the beans and roasting.
All right.
What types of smoke and stuff do you use for it? Do you use just one, or?
Oh no, we use all types of different woods for different roasts. Our light roast, we use apple wood. Our smoking cherry, use cherry wood. Hickory for our medium dark. Whiskey oak for our dark roast is called our Sippin' Whiskey, our #1 seller. And then our extra dark, right now we use a maple wood for stout maple. So you think dark, like a dark beer, you think stout, right? So we called it stout maple.
Where are you sourcing your beans from?
We have a coffee buyer out of the Lower Mainland that buys them for us, but they're for our in-house blends, we mainly use Colombian. We're branching out to other farms. We had to make sure our coffee buyer makes sure that they're ethically sourced. So we're not buying really cheap beans or anything. We're actually buying them from farmers that are actually getting a decent profit and a decent margin for their product.
So your first one you started here.
Yeah.
And where do you go from here?
Well, we just opened another locations inside Bullis and Broadheads here in Grande Prairie. We're opening one in Hythe. We have a franchisee out in Hythe who wants to have a franchise. We're opening one most likely in Dawson Creek in front of Coeur Lane Sporting Goods. Look at Spirit River, Fairview, mainly smaller communities because you know what? Smaller communities don't have good coffee. Some people call I don't even call them a competitor because they don't serve smoked coffee, but they don't like the American business in Canada. We'll just put it that way. They want to support Canadian. So
you've got some franchise locations as part of your expansion plan, but you're also selling your beans.
Yes.
So what are the plans for that?
For selling the beans. Mm-hmm. We sell them online. We also are now putting a sales team together to be out there. We're actually in several retail locations. You can even find us on bestbuy.ca for our coffee beans. So they'll be shipped to your Best Buy. If you're in, let's say you're in Montreal, you can go to Montreal and get them to your Best Buy.
Wow, okay, this is a total aside, but that is a cool thing. So how did you get that going?
I have...
That's brilliant.
One of my sales guys is working with a distributor back in the East Coast.
Okay.
And they got it set up. So hopefully soon we'll be going to Walmart. It won't be in store, but we'll be able to be online with Walmart.com, Costco.com, or Costco.ca, and a lot of places.
You got big plans.
Oh yeah, I don't want to just be Grand Prairie based.
Yeah.
And then currently I'm down in Texas building another roastery for the U.S. market because it costs too much to ship from Canada to the U.S. When you're paying more for a bag of for shipping than you are for a bag of beans, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
And fair enough, right? Like different countries are happy to support homegrown businesses as well. So it's nice to see that.
Dual citizenship has its privileges.
All right, back to my questions then. So for someone who hasn't tried smoked coffee before, can you talk a little bit about the flavor profiles? So, some people might be intimidated by the word smoke. So what does it really mean in terms of flavor?
It's a longer process, and if you like smoked meats, you get that smoky flavor. It's really mild and mellow. It's not overpowering or bold, but it actually draws the bitterness out of the bean. So you're getting a really smooth cup of coffee. You don't need to add cream and sugar to take that tang away. Lower acidity value.
And if you were to talk about serving the perfect cup of coffee, your perfect smoked cup of coffee, how would you serve it?
Hot. We don't do French presses here in the store, but I actually like a French press coffee. I just like French press. So, and always fresh ground. We never sell ground coffee, only whole bean coffee. So you're always getting fresh ground coffee. Even when we make it here in the store, you're getting fresh ground coffee. You don't get something that's been in a bag for 6 months. It's always fresh ground.
So can you tell me about some of the specialty food here? It's not something that you would find in a typical restaurant, and it's absolutely Albertan. I love it. So. Oh
yeah, I wanted to be different than the guy down the street. So, being an avid outdoorsman, I hunt a lot. So I thought, well, what would go good with that community, the hunting community, and just outdoor enthusiasts. So we went to local elk farmers and bison farmers, and we now serve elk and bison paninis, elk chili, elk and bison breakfast sandwiches, and turkey. So we're very limited what we sell because we have competition next door won't let us sell anything else. But no, we went into the wild game market just for the fact nobody does it. And you know what? It's helping our local farmers. It's keeping it in the community. We serve a lot of desserts from all over the place. I can't remember all the desserts we have, but we try to do as many things local as we can, so that way we're helping our local community.
You may be from Alberta, but have you really seen Alberta? From vast vistas brimming with the beauty of nature to a rural paradise offering unique and welcoming commerce, get acquainted with what Alberta has to offer by experiencing Alberta through the eyes of a tourist. Visit rumblealberta.com now to plan your unique experience today.
Fort McMurray Wood Buffalo, where life takes shape.
from Alberta, but have you really seen Alberta? From vast vistas brimming with the beauty of nature to a rural paradise offering unique and welcoming commerce, get acquainted with what Alberta has to offer by experiencing Alberta through the eyes of a tourist. Visit rumblealberta.com now to plan your unique experience today.
I love what you're doing with that. I think that's remarkable, and I think it also is that, like, I love your coffee twist and smoked, and then your menu twist is just like, it's, you know, people think coffee shop really good in coffee shops, but it's like, it's authentic. It's really cool. Are you having fun with it?
Oh yeah, I love doing this. That's why I'm starting another one in the U.S.
Yeah.
We'll be opening actually locations down in Texas.
That's cool. And then what are you going to do for your food concepts and stuff down there?
We're going to follow the same things. I've already contacted local farmers in Texas to bring in their bison and their elk.
Okay, so keeping the same concept, but just local farms.
Yeah, because like provincially, when we open in Saskatchewan, we'll actually contract with Saskatchewan farmers.
Yeah.
And
so it's a local food store wherever you go.
Yeah, so it always stays local. And plus, I don't have to go through all the federal regulations of trying to go across the border with from province to province.
Right.
So if it's locally sourced in that province, I don't have to worry about it. I just got to find a good processor to do all the making of the product. Right. So again, it'll help grow that little community, those communities, make them bigger. Well, not bigger, but it'll help their own local economies. So they're during times like this, you know, there's still jobs out there for people.
So your menu is interesting. Are you working with chefs to develop your menu items, or are these your own?
They're mainly, we had some people originally start with Ole Smokes. We came with them together. They're not with Ole Smokes anymore, but we're always looking at new things to add on. Marc has got some great ideas. We're thinking about bringing in bagel and lox. Yeah. You know, might put some elk or bison on them, salmon. Unfortunately, we don't have salmon in Alberta, but so we're bringing them from BC. But they're local.
Yeah.
We're just having some dialogue in regards to franchisees and franchisors. Basically, we're developing a concept that can really be attained by any local provider in any setting, city, town, anywhere in Canada and the United States for that fact. We're looking at proving those businesses for 2 years locally with the franchisors, so partnering up with those franchisees and sourcing locally, like Tim had mentioned, locally elk and bison farmers. In BC, hoping to tie in that smoked salmon, so salmon community, hopefully tie in the fishing community as well. That being said, modular design is really what we're working towards, so that these COVID times we can insulate our franchisors and franchisees, insulate their asset and their investments, help them get a better return. Not only that, with the 2-year proving it with the business, it's almost like a fail-proof design. And to the fact that we're the only smoke roasters in North America, I like our chances in the market.
You may be from Alberta, but have you really seen Alberta? From vast vistas brimming with the beauty of nature to a rural paradise offering unique and welcoming commerce, get acquainted with what Alberta has to offer by experiencing Alberta through the eyes of a tourist. Visit rumblealberta.com now to plan your unique experience today.
Fort McMurray Wood Buffalo, where life takes shape.
So tell me a little bit about your restaurant. How did this start? How long have you been doing this? And tell me your local food story.
As a child, I grew up loving food, service, everything, cooking. From my grandparents to my mother, I was always into it. Learning from them. My teachers always told me one day I was going to own a restaurant, and it sort of just fell into my lap. So 2019 came around and we were approached by the lease owner, and I had worked for Ramona's Pizza for a very, very long time, and when this spot opened up, I jumped on it, and it kind of just all fell into place, I guess. Me and my cousin, who were both born and raised here, just kind of went to work and came up with a really original concept and tried to improvise local food and local people and local artwork as much as possible, and just sort of happened. You know?
Your menu is eclectic and very fun here, so it's not what you would find at the average cafe. So maybe you can explain to me a little bit about your menu and your local the local farms you support and how you got there.
I guess the biggest thing was Amos's food truck had been quite successful for one summer, and so when I needed a partner, I called him, and we implemented a lot of his ideas and sort of went for just a hot pressed sandwich, very unique in its style, and we put our heads together and came up with a menu and tried to be as much off the beaten path as we could be with it, trying to do a lot of things that you wouldn't find around town, like burgers and fries and the clubhouse sandwiches and stuff like that. We wanted to get people out of their comfort zones and get them trying different things, and in that we try to implement as much of our knowledge as possible. So doing our own sauces, our own barbecue sauce we do from scratch, our own special sauce and ranch and chipotle ranch and mac and cheese sauce. Everything's unique in its way and very, from the ground up. And yeah, just try to keep things as simple as possible too, by just sticking with one idea. Just press sandwiches and fries and try not to get too complicated with it and make things easy and quick.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I noticed from your menu, so you have local spirits here, you have local craft beer, you're also using local farm products, local coffee roasters, so that commitment to local. Tell me a little bit about your passion in supporting what's here in Grand Prairie.
Well, I was born and raised here, and this place gets such a hard rap, and I love this city. I've moved away twice already for a short period of time, and I always find myself coming back. It is what you make it. And you know, there's a lot of people that are very passionate about what they do in the city, and yeah, like as far as Grain Bin Brewery, and you know, the farmers market is unreal. Farm fresh eggs and all kinds, like, you can't beat it. There's baking, there's coffee, there's everything you can imagine, and it's huge to support those who are supporting you, and you know, keep it going here, and yeah, makes everybody happy, I guess.
Wonderful. So tell me, what are your top 3 dishes? What can people not live without here?
Top 3 is probably our Uncle Joey Cubano sandwich, which has our in-house roasted pork, mayo mustard ham, dill pickles. It's very simple, but it has a lot of flavor. It's everything's done on our pressed ciabatta bread, so it gives it a really nice crunch, but doesn't give it all the sloppy, soggy, you know, mess that you know you would get used to, right? Uncle Joey for sure, and our breakfast garbage plate. I never stop making them. They're always being ordered. It's unreal, and that's the one that uses the local farmer sausage from Crete, and it's to die for. People line up for them on Saturdays after they've had too many drinks the night before and stuff like that. And then probably our hot chicken sandwich, which is same thing, just our scratch-made ranch, sweet pickles, coleslaw, and buffalo chicken ciabatta, which is pretty interesting.
Awesome.
So if somebody wanted to connect with you, website, social, any of that stuff?
It's hard to get a hold of me because I'm usually always very busy cooking. I'm usually here 7 days a week, you know, from 10 to 3, but I do have kids and stuff, and they have schedules, and so I'm a busy guy. But I mean, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You can just message me on Facebook through my personal page or the restaurant or whatever, and I may not always get back to it right away, but and then we do have a website too. It's 1414foodco.com, and all of our info's on there, all of our phone numbers and everything. But best thing to do is just to come in and see me.
Anything else you want to share with us?
I don't know.
Can you give us, I know it's on your door, but can you give us, what are, assuming everything goes back to open as it will by the time this is aired, what are your operational hours here? When can people come in?
We started really small. We kind of wanted to funnel our hours from little to big, so we've started, our main hours are from 10 to 3, and we're always the busiest between 11:30 and 1 o'clock. Everything kind of happens all at once, right? But for the most part, 10 to 3, and then we are open late on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the people that do want to grab some dinner on their way home or whatever. So, but other than that, 10 to 3.
Cheer.
So we're sitting outside of 1414 here in Grand Prairie, and we've got 2 of their top sellers, which is the Uncle Joey, which is a slow roasted pork, and the loaded fries. Absolutely looking forward to digging into these. It's delicious.